Hey everyone, I am back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. And thanks for those who are starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Sorry for the delay here with some technical things, but got it sorted out. And I'm happy to be here with you all today. I hope you had a wonderful week. Let me know where you are tuning in from in the comments. For those of you who are new to Mental Health Moment, I reside in the Tampa Bay area of Florida, often traveling to some place or another with different projects, but today I'm in the Tampa Bay area of Florida. So thanks again for those who are starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your Mental Health Moment. While we wait for some more people to join today, I did want to remind you all about my new upcoming book. I cannot believe it. It is almost here. It's like years in the making. So just sharing as you guys are joining here that so my new book, Mindset Training, Conquer Your Mind and the Rest Will Follow, will be out next month, you all. Crazy. September 10th is the official launch date. You can pre-order, get all the information at mindsettrainingbook.com. It has literally been years in the making. So I'm full with a lot of different emotions as an author, and to see actually this week, if some of you follow me on Instagram, you'll see I'll put it in my stories, but I'm gonna see a copy of the book before it's released for the first time, like just to hold it in my hands, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. I know it sounds bizarre, but it's just it's almost like an anxious feeling. I'm like, what is it gonna be like to actually hold my next book? But I'm super excited about it. But again, mindsettrainingbook.com is where you can go. Be sure to pre-order it as well. It does come out officially September 10th. Obviously, if you pre-order it as soon as the book is released, it'll be shipped next month to you. But also on the mindsettrainingbook.com, it talks about all the bonuses that you get for pre-ordering. And also, I wanted to take a quick moment also before I get started today on Mental Health Moment, and just to thank some of you all. I saw some of you all on the summit that I hosted last week, my first virtual summit, Growth Mindset and Self-Care Summit. And so I just wanted to say thank you so much for being on there. I saw you all in the comments and just, excuse me, and just sharing different resources, sharing your thoughts, and interacting with the other speakers. So it was really cool. I'm really happy that you guys could have been there. It was a really neat event. If you did miss the event, one of the bonuses actually of pre-ordering the book is to get the replay of the entire event. It was a half-day event, but just it was so great. I was watching it back, and as I was giving it to the team to edit, and I love each and every speaker. I know them all personally, and they're amazing human beings. So yeah, so it was a really great summit. So anyhow, so if you pre-order the book, I'll also send you the replay of the entire summit as well. So interestingly enough, so this is my fourth book, you all, and every book has been a different process. They just are. I think it just depends on what you're writing about, and this particular one was, I think, the most challenging part. It was a very long process. I worked with a different team this time, amazing team. It takes a village for a book launch of what we're trying to do, and a great, amazing team, but it was also a lot of work. A lot of work to put together the book. There's just, like I said, a team of people. I did not do, well, I wrote the book by myself, but the team of like editing and publishing and book marketing and strategy, and like there's so many moving parts. There's a lot of a lot of behind the scenes. So managing all that for this particular book was a lot, I will be honest. However, I'm just most excited. This is my favorite book. I shouldn't tell the other books, but this is my favorite book of mine that I've written. So I'm also extremely excited for you all to receive this book and to get it, and hopefully for it to just really start to change your life. That was my whole purpose of the book, Michael. If I could just plant a seed for those of you who haven't visited mindsettrainingbook.com, which, like I said, has all the information, but essentially it's about how do you exactly what I teach on Mental Health Moment, about how do you become a better version of who you are? How do you work holistically on your self-care to improve physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So, in a nutshell, it's like almost 150 pages, but in a nutshell, that's what the book is about. Thanks for you guys who are joining here. Be sure to let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from today. I know I started a little bit later today because I was trying to, anyways, technical things. So, nonetheless, I will get started. So today I wanted to share with you all some tips. Oops, if my thing doesn't. Okay, hold on, you all, because of course, there we go. Okay. I have some notes over here and it was doing some funky things. Nonetheless, today I wanted to share with you on today's mental health moment, I wanted to share with you some tips on how you can manage your attention because it can be really tricky, especially when we're thinking about mindset growth. It's just we're at a time where there's so many things that are pulling for our attention, right? So whether it's your family member, your friends, work, or school, or something going on in your life, or whatever it is, there's different things pulling for your attention, but there's also ways that you can work on reducing your distractions so that you can be more productive. But there's also ways, thankfully, that you can work on reducing some of those distractions. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips today. So the first tip is to really think about, and I know you've heard this before about setting priorities, but it really is important in your day. Like when you wake up in the morning, really thinking about what is your highest priority today to get done. And I'm talking about like whatever it is for you, whatever's on your to-do list, being productive, that sort of thing. You've heard it before, like set your priorities, right? But when you set your priorities, one of the things that's really, really important is that you are taking breaks throughout the day, especially when it comes to our attention and our concentration. Because there's a lot of studies that show a lot of times, especially if you're a working person and you're doing something and it's taking hours and hours and hours and hours and you've taken no break, your brain doesn't function as efficiently as if you took a 5-minute break in there. So there was actually something I was looking up and learning about recently about I think it's called the uh, Pomodoro technique. Is something new to me that I learned, but I wanted to share it with you. But it was very fascinating. It's this idea that you take like a 25-minute chunk of time, go hard, do whatever it is you need to do, whether it's work, whatever it is that you need to do that day, and then take the 5-minute break. And then repeat that a couple times. And maybe this time instead of 25 minutes, you do 30 minutes worth, and then take a couple of minutes of a break. But what it does is you're also training your brain that you have to reset, you have to recharge, you have to take the downtime in your day. And again, I know we have all different types of jobs or all different types of responsibilities, so it may not be exactly in that way, right? You may be like, oh, I can't do that every 25 minutes, but can you do it every 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours? Like, where is it in your day that you can take short breaks that works best for you, right? But the major thing is to think about setting your priorities, taking the breaks. The other thing outside of work or like your daily tasks, one of the things that that's also shown to be really helpful with your attention concentration is meditation. And I know that when you hear the word meditation, what's always interesting to me about meditation is that it's such a it's one of those words that I think brings about strong emotions, like either way. So I've talked to some people and they'll say, meditation, like I would never do that, or I can't do that because I tried it, once or twice and I couldn't get my brain to slow down. I couldn't get my thoughts to stop racing. But what I will tell you, and it's funny because actually last week we talked a little bit, and we've done this before on Mental Health Moments, so I won't go into all of it today, but we talked a little bit about that actually at the Growth Mindset and Self-Care Summit that I hosted. And we talked about how to take the baby steps when it comes to meditation, if that's not something familiar to you, meaning taking, I'm a big fan and a champion of taking a minute a day, the 60 seconds, taking a couple of minutes, those 5 minutes, even those type of times to don't worry about being stressed out. Like I tried to meditate and I couldn't completely clear my mind. Don't stress about that. It's more about, as if you're starting up with this, it's more about taking the time and making sure you're in a calm space physically for your nervous system to calm down and also for your brain to calm down and again get to a place of reset, recharge. But the short meditations also count too when it comes to working on your attention. So for those of you just tuning in, it's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. Thanks again for tuning in today. Today we're talking about some different strategies when it comes to attention, reducing the distractions, which often comes about in our daily lives, right? And how do you be more productive? The other thing is that you really want to think about how do you well, let me give you the background for some of you who are new to mental health moment and have no idea who I am. So I'm Dr. Nekeshia Hammond. I'm a psychologist, author, speaker, and some of the time, so I spend my time doing different things. Like I said, literally those three things. So I spend part of my time at my private practice that I founded 15 years ago, and I do evaluations. And some of the evaluations I do are for ADHD. That's actually my subspecialty. The other part of the time I spend speaking in the community about burnout prevention, and then I also write books. And of course, Mindset Training book is my next book coming out. So that's me in a nutshell. So going back to what I was saying, so one of the things when I do evaluations for ADHD, for example, that I find a lot of times is that it's really tricky. And there's a lot of research on this when it comes to ADHD, and you don't have to be diagnosed with ADHD to use the strategies that I'm teaching today. So let me put that huge asterisk. All of us have issues at times with our attention. It doesn't necessarily mean you have ADHD, or you could have ADHD because it's on a spectrum. But one of the things that I've seen very common that's tricky, not just for kids, but kids and adults sometimes with attention, struggling with attention, is that the environment that you're set up in, whether it's home, whether it's work, or wherever it is around you, is not structured in a way to help you with the inattention issues that you may have, right? So let me give you an example. Let's say this, well, let me give you an adult example because I could think of a lot for kids. But even for us as adults, if you work from home, let's say, and your area, wherever it is in your home, that a lot of people are working from home right now. So if you're working from home and the area you work in is not organized to the point where you're going to be getting distracted because you're like, oh, wait, I forgot my pen. Oh, wait a minute. Now I need my water. Wait a second. I have my notebook. Wait a minute. Like when you have that on top of struggling with attention as well, it makes the day very difficult. But if you start the day, again, we're going back to the beginning of this video a little bit with setting your priorities, which I know is not always the easiest thing to do because we're bombarded with things to do. But doing your best to set your priorities, doing your best to organize your workspace, whether it's in office, whether it's at home, so that you can, again, reduce the distractions. Because with the younger kids that I've worked with, actually, it is I've heard so many stories. It's so helpful. And again, with adults too, but it's so helpful to set up their area. If you have a kid, let's say with ADHD or just attention issues, set up their area so they're best prepared for homework, let's say. So they have their pencil, they have their snack, they have their water, they have whatever, the books, all in one area. So there's not a lot of like, where are my this and where are my that? And getting out of their seat and that sort of thing. And again, that applies to us as adults as well. So as much as you can, structuring your environment, and as much as you can, again, life happens, but putting some structure into some of your routines as well. And what I mean by that with certain routines is like, I can go on and on. We've talked a lot on Mental Health Moment about like morning routines or night routines or things that you do during the day. And again, it's totally unrealistic to structure every part of your day. Obviously, life happens. A couple months ago, I want to say it was like 2 or 3 weeks apart, I had like 2 flat tires. I was like, really? And you know how those days go when you get a flat tire? It's like, oh, okay, not going anywhere. And then it becomes, you got to get someone to change a tire. I don't know how to change a tire. I'm sorry. I don't know how to change a tire. So got to get someone to change a tire. Now I got to stop. Got to get someone to come out there. Like the whole day, it just, right? It just changes your whole day. Like what you thought you were going to get done is just like the day is totally different now, right? With a flat tire. And so it was bizarre. It happened like twice, like I said, within like a 2 or 3 week span. I was like, okay, here we go again. But I share that with you because a lot of times we could structure parts of your day as much as possible, obviously knowing life happens, things pop up like flat tires or something or another that you weren't expecting, which can shift your day. But again, those are a couple of things I want you to remember when it comes to your attention, when it comes to your concentration. There's a lot more information to actually, let me put it in the chat here that you can get. Um, oh, I hope it goes through. Yeah, it did. Okay. There's also a lot more information. So if this is an area for you or someone you know that's struggling with like attention issues, again, it may or may not be ADHD. Actually, that was my last book actually about ADHD, that not every single attention problem is linked to ADHD. It could be or not. There is literally a spectrum of how we attend to the world, how we deal with distractions, how we concentrate. There's a whole spectrum. It's not always ADHD, but it could be. But nonetheless, helpguide.org is a great resource. Actually, that's one of my favorite resources. Um, there are actually, let me put this one too. This is more for kids. Well, it's all ages, but I'm going to put some resources in the chat for you all today. And also understood.org actually as well. But they're great resources, not just for attention issues, but for a lot of different mental health issues, depression, anxiety, ADHD's on there, learning issues, family issues, like a just really great, reputable information that's on there. Here's the thing. Okay. I don't want you all, I don't want you all after this video to like be like, okay, I think I'm ADHD or something like that. That's not the point of it. However, my point is that if you find information about ADHD of how to better help you concentrate, you can still use that information. It doesn't necessarily mean you have ADHD. Does that make sense? I hope I'm making sense. So you can use that information. Doesn't mean you necessarily have it. Maybe you do, but that information, that good at home things to do information is fantastic on their websites for attention and concentration. Okay. So those are a couple of tips for you all to try. For those of you who are new to Mental Health Moment is essentially all things related to mental health and wellness. So things that you can do to work on becoming a better version of who you are, so you can show up powerfully for yourself and for the people around you. So that's essentially what Mental Health Moment has been about for the past, I don't even know how many years. Oh my gosh, I lost track. I think I'd have to ask Dr. Jackie King, who started this platform. I want to say it's like 2016. I think that's when Mental Health Moment started, which is crazy. That means it's almost been 10 years, y'all. Like, wow, that's insane. Okay, well, it feels like just yesterday that I started Mental Health Moment. It's been a while. So many, many years of Mental Health Moment. That is in a nutshell what Mental Health Moment is about. Tonight or today, depending on where you're at in the world, was about a couple quick tips of how do you work on having better attention, having better concentration. I do want to put an asterisk on this Mental Health Moment as well, especially because one of my subspecialties is ADHD. That if you are at the point where you're like, man, I've tried these strategies, or maybe you go to these websites, helpguide.org or understood.org, you try some things at home and you're like really struggling, where you're like, no, Dr. Hammond, I am really struggling with my attention, with my concentration. It's too much. I'm struggling being a parent or a grandparent, at work, at school, or wherever is the case, that it just feels too overwhelming when it comes to your attention. You may need to seek the help of a mental health professional to say, here's what's really going on with you, right? Like, and there's a variety of things that can happen when it comes to your attention concentration. You could have ADHD, or you could just be very stressed out, or you could be depressed, you could be anxious, you could have physical health issue. Like, there's a lot of things that can look like ADHD, but they're attention issues related to something else. So don't be afraid. I just want to put out my PSA real quick. Don't be afraid to reach out to a mental health professional if that is the case for you. It doesn't mean you're weak, doesn't mean you're stupid, doesn't mean you're lazy. It means that you're doing the best you can to get some answers. Okay. So I did want to say that, and actually for all mental health moments, that sometimes we try things at home and it's like, nope, it's not working. So go to a mental health professional, see what's happening, see what's going on. And that way, you can try a different strategy that could work better for you. So I think that's it. All right. Okay, so I'm really wrapping up this time, you all. But again, if you came in a little bit later, I do want to remind you, mindsettrainingbook.com is where you can go to pre-order my next book, Mindset Training, Conquer Your Mind, and the rest will follow. It will be out in a couple weeks. I can't believe it. Oh my gosh. I can't believe it'll be out. It's September 10th is the official release date, but you can pre-order it now. And on that website, it'll talk about like the different bonuses and things like that that you'll get for pre-ordering. But thank you in advance for your support of the book. Thank you for your messages. Thank you again for some of you who came last week to the summit, the Growth Mindset and Self-Care Summit that I hosted. Just amazing speakers. I was really delighted to host that. And I really appreciated many of your support who were there last week for that. I think that's all I got, you all. Until next week, I will be back. Have an amazing week. Be blessed, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.